Well, hello and welcome to our backyard garden in the South Carolina upstate. It's episode 4 for 2024, March 2nd of 2024. And we just finished our front yard garden. We're going to do the back now. As we always start off on our little hillside here, you can see our irises. Even in the last couple of weeks, these have really grown significantly and gotten a lot denser. Still need to do our spring cleanup when the weather is consistently a little bit nicer, and chop some of the holly out of this. They've come up from the past. We had big holly bushes here when we moved in. We got rid of them. They really were kind of a pain in the neck, but it looks like we'll have iris blooms in two phases, white ones first and then blue ones after that, bearded iris, probably starting, I would say, late March and then through probably early June. So looking forward to those. We have a few of them over on this side as well. We should get some cleome down in here. These generally reseed from year to year. We also have a big Shasta daisy, which is coming back from last year. We need to cut back some of it, but just again, we haven't gotten around to that yet. And then over here is a big part of our spring garden. These hyacinths are in full bloom right now. Beautiful scent to them. Have a few crocuses here. They didn't really bloom, or at least they haven't yet, but they still might. It's possible. Got a few down in here as well. Same thing. Daffodils still doing really well. These usually bloom for about 3 or 4 weeks, and we probably will have daffodils into early April, I'm going to say. They started late January, is typically the case. Over here, a yellow knockout rose. Deer ate a lot of it during the winter, but I think it'll make a good comeback. Same thing with the hydrangea here. Deer ate some of this, some of these seed pods, but I don't think the plant suffered at all. I think it'll come back very nicely. More hyacinths here, doing really well. We'll have some tulips over in this area, and then once spring comes by, there really isn't much else up in this area aside from the hydrangea. And then as we work our way down, we've got digitalis, and as I look here, it appears something has been chewing on these. Might be daffodils, might be tulips. Really kind of hard to tell, but they've really been chewed. Probably tulips. I think that was an area I may have missed when I was spraying, but we'll see. Digitalis down in here. More hydrangeas, more digitalis. Pansies down in this area. Now the rabbits ate these early on when we first put them in back in probably December. Ate them right down to the ground, but they've come back. The roots are intact, and we're hoping to get some flowers. We've got a few flowers just starting to come out down here. Butterfly bush here. Dwarf knockout rose down here, getting a lot of leaves on it, so hopefully we'll start to get some red blooms there before too long. Another butterfly bush here. A lot of different sort of things in this area. We have a ground rose here, yellow in color. Again, the deer really chewed on this. This was much bigger. Did a lot of damage. Lilac back there, starting to get some leaves on it. Clematis up against the fence. Just all kinds of different things. We try to really mix it up as much as possible. More pansies. I'm going to be spraying for deer and rabbits at the end of this video, and hopefully keep them away for another week. Big azalea here. Viburnum over here. This is a really prolific viburnum. We have several out in the front yard. This is the only one in the back, but probably the one that gives us the most flowers. Not a whole lot to look at right now, but it does have buds. So in about 3 or 4 weeks, we'll probably start to get the big snowball type flowers. Some more hyacinths back in here. Azaleas. They have lamb's ear, kind of an interesting little ground cover plant. It's come back fairly early. It doesn't have any flowers on it, but it's kind of a neat little plant that is kind of cool to look at. Camellia over here, more azaleas, and then this area over in here, which is really a strange area. We're going to see what happens. The deer ate some of these roses right down to the ground. Don't know if they're going to come back or not, so we're just going to have to see. One here, not a lot left of it, but enough that we're getting leaves on it, so we'll see what happens. And even if they don't, this area is going to have plenty going on with daylilies, lots of different types of daylilies. The deer did not eat those, fortunately. We've got some climbing roses up against the fence, more azaleas here, and more Shasta daisies, irises, and hyacinths here. Some pansies over this way. We have a big camellia over here, which is really in full bloom right now. It's got a few more buds on it, but these give us these big red flowers, really pretty. We tend, unfortunately, not to see them as much because they're actually blooming a little later than usual this year. Very tropical looking, and the plants obviously do pretty well. They're about, this one is about 5.5 feet tall, but they are blooming a little bit later than usual this year. So we're actually able to see them and get video of them a little bit better than in the past. But once the spring and summer get going, this area will be just full of greenery and color. Jasmine, clematis, climbing roses, all through this area up onto the trellis. So we're going to have a lot of flowers ahead of us coming up. Another big camellia over here, same sort of thing, a little different type of flower, kind of a candy stripe, peppermint looking flower, which is really fun to look at. Hard to view it with between the sun and the shadows. Big climbing roses here, more daffodils. We have just again a whole mix of things. My wife likes to refer to our garden as a cottage garden, and it's exactly what it is. There's just a little of everything in here, and it really blooms pretty thoroughly from May through about October. So again, we're going to see a lot of jasmine, clematis, climbing roses, butterfly bushes, calla lilies, and other things before too much longer. Over on this side, an area where we've typically had a lot of trouble. The daffodils are doing the best of anything we've ever put over here, and they'll bloom for probably another week or two, and then they'll be done. The deer destroyed 3 big roses back in this area, just ate them right down to the roots. We've had some other things that some have done well, some not so well. Wisteria here, waiting to see what it'll do. It was having some trouble last year in the latter part of the summer. But then we have clematis over here that are starting to come out, more clematis over here. I'm starting to see some growth on some of these, so I think they're going to be fine. And then our biggest wisteria is back in this area, and it doesn't have any growth on it yet, but I think it's just a little bit early. And then down this way, absolutely nothing to really look at. So you're probably asking, why am I even coming down here? And I don't necessarily have a good reason. This was all canna, big, tall, red flowered or red bloomed flowers. Just kind of waiting for growth to take place. We do have some of our daylilies coming up, and later on we'll have black-eyed Susans, but we're still waiting on a spring cleanup, which we're going to be doing, but just waiting. Like yesterday, the weather was dreadful. it just poured down rain. It was about 38 degrees, and felt like Ohio, where we came from. And today it's close to 70 and blue sky, so it's very, very pleasant. And hopefully we'll have more of these kinds of days in the near future. But the streams and ponds were right up to the bank throughout the night. It's finally started to drain off. But coming back up, we'll go over this way and head back to the house and finish up our tour for the day. And as we get up towards the house, not a lot going on quite yet. This is mostly a summer garden up here, not spring. We do have irises back against the house, so those will probably be about the first things to bloom. We do have roses and a number of other things, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. We do have some daylilies, lilacs, calla lilies, and climbing roses. Our one blueberry plant in the entire yard is right here. It's got some nice blooms on it. A little more than we've had in the past. It has not grown. It hasn't really done a lot. And typically once it does start to get berries, the birds eat them before we do. The biggest thing in this part of the garden is this climbing rose. This will have big, I shouldn't say big, but big clusters of tiny pink rose flowers once it gets going. It was blooming into December last year, so it really gives us about 9 full months of color, which is just fantastic. This part of the country, you really can't do much better than that. So we'll have that before too much longer. And we'll have a lot of hostas back in here. Tomatoes will start coming up in another month or two from seed. And that's about it for another week. So I think there's more going on in the front yard than the back, but at least you can see the progress and see where we're headed. It won't be long, maybe another 4 to 6 weeks before the backyard is just a wash in color, and it'll stay that way for most of the summer. So until next time, happy gardening, and we will see you next time.